Who saw LS Fest turning into the monster event that it is? I mean, did you see it coming?
I never dreamed it would turn into what it has. The first several years of that event, I never imagined it would eventually take off. But the guys at Holly, the marketing team, they have done a tremendous job with LS Fest and turned it into, I call it a lifestyle event. It's not a drag race to me.
Hey guys, I'm Josh Brown.
And I'm Jordan Stevens.
And you're watching the Cars and Health Bars podcast. Let's get right into the episode. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Cars and Health Bars. Today, we are joined by Broc Porter of Beech Bend Raceway Park. How are you doing, Broc?
Good, doing great tonight. Thank y'all for inviting me on.
Absolutely. It had to have you. You're right in our backyard. Every time we pitch our show to somebody, we mention, we're in Vet City, home of the Beech Bend Raceway Park. It's just we're so fortunate to have such cool motorsports places in our own hometown here in Bowling Green.
Yeah, and Bowling Green, Beech Bend Raceway, we're really fortunate to have a good core group of gearhead automotive enthusiasts. I mean, whether it's nostalgia events, imports type events, we have a great following of customers here in this area between Louisville, Nashville, Bowling Green. We're blessed with a very automotive friendly, you know, core group of enthusiasts.
Absolutely. Before we get too much into the track, I kind of want to know how you grew up in and around the track, because I did a little bit of research, and your family's had the drag strip for quite a while now.
Yeah, my grandfather was Dallas Jones. He actually bought Beech Bend Raceway in 1984, December of 84, and 1985 was his first season operating Beech Bend. He actually operated tracks before Beech Bend Raceway, but Beech Bend was the first one he owned. And I can't, forgive me now, I can't remember the first year he operated a track, but he started at Hardinsburg, Kentucky at US 60 Dragway in the 70s, and him and another
Okay.
guy leased that drag strip for a year. And then he went and leased Windy Hollow Dragway in Owensboro and ran it for several years, and then bought Beech Bend in 1984, and the family's been there ever since, and it's been a heck of a ride.
Wow. I know you do a little bit of racing yourself.
I did very little. Dallas had a race car that back in about 2010, me and my uncle, Dallas's son, he passed away since then, but we got it out in 2010, played with it some, did a little bit of bracket racing and had some fun. And Dallas, he told me I had to make a decision. I was either going to work or play. I couldn't do both. And so I couldn't afford to play, especially when I didn't have a race car. So I went to work, more regular. But it was fun to get to race a little bit and get behind the wheel some. But yeah, it's in this industry, it's tough to do both. If you want to truly, dedicate and do everything, to the best of your abilities, you had to concentrate on one or the other.
What kind of car did y'all take out that he had?
He had a little '66 Chevy too, and it was an NHRE super
Okay.
stock car.
Oh wow.
Had a 283 in it, and it wasn't very fast, but it was a lot of fun. It would run like 750s in the eighth mile. I think I ran it out through the quarter once or twice, but a little 283. It was built to really turn some high RPMs, and I can't remember. It was like 9,000 or 9,500 through the finish line at the quarter mile. I mean, you felt like
Oh,
That's
everything was going
spinning
to,
it up.
fling every rod out of it. But it was a
absolutely.
lot of fun.
I'm sure you've seen your fair share, running the track of like stuff getting scattered and all that. What is your favorite memory of I guess it's not wouldn't be a favorite memory, but
Yeah.
what was the most notable you know thing that happened at the drag strip? Because not only just like cars blowing their engine out. But I mean, shoot, it was a few LS fests ago. There was a car that it like jumped the barrier. Am I thinking wrong about that? Or no, its hood flew off, and that guy ended up winning, I believe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have some good cleanup stories. We spend a lot of time cleaning stuff up on the racetrack, whether it's LS Fest or just a Tuesday night test and tune or a Saturday test and tune. Probably some of the most notable memories from cleanups. I remember we had a new guy that had started with us one day, and we had like I don't know, an hour long oil down. Got it cleaned up, got
Sheesh.
back to racing, and he said, "What do we do if that happens again?" And I said, "We clean it up again." Like that's what you do. You clean it up until you're done racing. But I'll never forget him asking me that. And then one year, I don't know if y'all remember the TS Performance diesel drags. Y'all remember the heyday of the TS drags and
Uh-huh.
Mm-mm. I don't.
yeah. Well, I can't remember which year it was, but the Shy Diesel dragster blew up one year, and a diesel when it blows up, there's a lot of oil, there's a lot of cleanup.
Oh yeah.
So we
I can
started.
imagine.
They ask us, well, how long do you think? We're like, oh gosh, I don't. It's going to be a while. Like it's a mess. So I said, well, we're going to do the bikini contest while y'all are cleaning it up. And that was the fastest oil down cleanup we ever performed. We did not miss the bikini contest. We got it cleaned up and back in time to see the show. That was
Wow.
probably our record speed for getting a track cleanup done is tease us with a bikini contest and we'll get it cleaned up quick.
That's some of those events do get kind of wild. I know the Harley drags get pretty wild too. Yeah. I will say too, you talked about old downs a little bit. The My favorite part about Beach Bend, especially like at the big events like LS Fest and Ford Fest, is a lot of the times there's autocross and drifting going on right across the walkway there. It's cool to like go over and enjoy that while you're waiting for the old down to get cleaned up.
Yeah, that's a move.
What I like so much about Beach Bend is the fact that you guys do have that drift pad right next door, right across the walkway. So, I mean, it's so easy to just go over and watch some autocross while you clean up. And then, whenever you hear that burnout start, it's time to go back to watching some drag racing.
Yeah, and really there was only a couple of events that kind of was able to pull that off and have multifaceted events going on at the same time. But here this year, we started a little bit last year on our Send It Saturday test and tunes. We're doing drifting on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday with those. And even on a small scale, it gives opportunity for people to walk around and see something different, even if there's not an oil down. But, I've noticed more that people don't want to sit in the bleachers and watch cars go down the drag strip the whole time. They want to see something a little bit different. And so offering, something on that circle track and something on the drag strip at the same time, there's a lot of value there. And I think it's much more spectator friendly, uh, to have some stuff like that going on. And not all events can pull that off. And, but when you can, I do think it's a good thing.
Talking about that events that can pull it off, we definitely have to hit on LS Fest. We can go ahead and transition into that. I mean, who saw LS Fest turning into the monster event that it is? I mean, did you see it coming?
I never dreamed it would turn into what it has. The first several years of that event, I never imagined it would eventually take off. But the guys at Holly, the marketing team, they have done a tremendous job with LS Fest and turned it into, I call it a lifestyle event. It's not a drag race to me. There's
Yeah.
so much else going on. It's kind of a lifestyle event, and it's taken on you know I don't know, a meaning of its own, I guess. But
Yeah,
we
for
are very
sure. I think it
fortunate to have it
has.
in Bowling Green.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy how much that all the Holly events really have grown and just became like this big lifestyle. I mean, you see people come from just all over, and it's always a good time at LS Fest. I swear. I think everyone in the city's having a good time. Everyone at Beach Bend's having a good time. It's honestly anyone who hasn't been should go.
It never
Yeah.
blows. It always blows my mind how much attendance is there. It's like
Yeah.
it's like every year it's just there's more and more and more people. It's like Friday used to be the day to go, and I swear last year it felt like there was more people Friday than Saturday for some reason. It's just like you always think you're going to beat the crowd by playing hooky from work on Friday, but no, it's like 10,000 other people had the same idea. Hey guys, as if you're seeing me by myself, we had technical difficulties. Unfortunately, throughout this episode, we were battling, and unfortunately, a good 10 minutes of audio that would have been right here got corrupted by the technical issues, and it just couldn't get restored. I sent emails, I couldn't get it, and of course, it is the most important bit of audio that needed to be in the episode. It's of Broc talking about Horsepower Hangout tonight, and it's real unfortunate. But Horsepower Hangout, I'll just go ahead and recall what I can from the episode. I'm going to be honest, this is 2 weeks later. I've been dreading editing this episode because I knew it was going to be a mess. But Horsepower Hangout tonight, it's going to be a banger, guys. Going to have live music, a DJ, food trucks, shout out Only Fries, my favorite food truck in Bowling Green, one of them at least. The burnout pad has basically got turned into a he didn't want to use the word takeover, but it's going to be set up to where you can hoon around pretty good. And he bring whatever you have. We're going to be doing burnouts, going to be doing like the takeover style stuff, as well as he's kind of teased at possibly getting some drag racing going that night. So possibly could have some drag racing going on. And what's really cool about the event is he's going to have what he calls a hot area and a cool area. So the hot area is going to be right there next to the burnout pit. You don't care if rubber gets slung at your car. You don't care if you want to be in it. You're thinking about it. What have you? That's where you're going to be. But if you just, you got a cool car, you're more of like the cars and coffee kind of guy. You're there to just park and chill. That's going to be the cool zone, and it's going to be over there near like where the drag racer pits would be, like right there next to the drag strip. So I kind of like that. It sounds like all of Beech Bend Raceway Park is just going to be a race. Like it's going to be like car hub central, because you're going to have your cars and coffee. You're going to have your burnouts. You're possibly even going to have some drag racing going on. And like I said, you're going to have some of the best food trucks in Bowling Green set up, plus the live music. There's so much that's going to be going on. I asked him if he was going to be doing something like this fairly regular, and he said he did have one more scheduled, but this is more or less to kind of test the waters for if this is going to be something that's going to be a constant thing, possibly be a monthly thing. So you can definitely catch us out there. Me and Jordan are going to be out there making content, making videos. Probably going to take a couple guys with us. We're going to load the Regal down, and the Regal is going to be there. I'm going to pop the hood. It's got that supercharger. I'm not trying to scare nobody with my horsepower, but she going to be there. Anyways, I've rambled on, guys. This definitely catch us there. Be looking forward to the Prey performance interview. That's coming next week. We'll preface the next segment by saying, as a backup, we did unfortunately have to use a phone call to get the rest of the interview. So sorry, the quality is not so good, but it's what we had to do to keep the show going for you guys and to have Broc on. So yeah, guys, with that being said, sit through that. Check out Broc. Check out Beech Bend Raceway Park. Get your hind in a chair out there. Support your local drag strip. And with that being said, guys, we'll throw it to an ad break. I want to thank Blackout Coffee for sponsoring this episode of the Cars and Health Bars podcast. As you know, I work a blue-collar job just like most of you all do, and I need me a cup of joe to get me started first thing in the morning. I always like to hit some of this dark roast, brother. It puts hair on your chest, gets you good and woke up. And hey, if you got a wife like mine that loves some coffee, they've also got flavored coffee options such as jelly donut, salted mocha, cinnamon French toast. Look at the ratings on that, brother. Almost 1,500 5-star reviews. I've been drinking some of that good dark roast to get me started. And hey, they've even got instant coffee. We've all been there running late for work. Grab you one of these and dump it in your water bottle. You got coffee on the go. I want to again thank Blackout Coffee for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Go on over, support our sponsors, support our troops, good old America. Get you a cup of Blackout Coffee, brother. Our first sponsor today, of course, you know them, you love them, Chemical Guys. They have the best car care products in the game. Of course, my favorite products here, you got the starter kits. I highly recommend the starter kits to any of our listeners because it is the greatest way to get a bulk amount of products. It's just the best bang for your buck. Even the mini arsenal, it comes with everything you need. It's got the honeydew soap, it's got the spray wax, it's got the bucket, the foam cannon, it's got everything you need. Cars 10 site wide for 10% off your order. I want to thank Speedway Motors for sponsoring the podcast. One of my favorite parts, wiring harness. They have a DIY wiring harness. So if you are not that good at wiring, they have a full kit that is a universal. You just pick what circuit you want. It is as simple as you get it. They have a lot of parts for your older cars. It's hard to beat these deals. Some of the best prices, that's always what I've known them for, is the really good prices, the really good quality. So yeah, guys, hop on over there. See if they've got something for your build and use our affiliate link so they know that we sent you. And with that being said, guys, let's get right back into the topic. All right, so I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about the business side of things. You know, I feel like I could be speaking out of turn here, but I feel like this is the only drag strip that's connected to an amusement park. I want to know how much that helps attendance in general in business, because I feel like as a family man myself, you know, being able to bring my wife and kid to go play at the amusement park while I go watch some racing or do something myself, I feel like that's something really unique that Beech Bend has to offer.
It is most definitely unique, and you're right. I don't know if there's another track that has anything comparable. It's definitely something that makes us unique there at Beech Bend. And as far as surprisingly, we have a lot of drag racers that enjoy going to the park and taking their family over there. But there's not as much from the park that come to the racetrack. There's not as much crossover there, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But it is definitely awesome to have, you know, something so unique because, you know, people remember Beech Bend for that. If it wasn't for that, we'd just be another, you know, drag strip down in Kentucky. But it definitely sets us apart from other facilities.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool to have it connected. I see how the LS Fest groups, there's always some people posting up behind or right in front of the Kentucky Rumbler. It's like a popular photo shoot spot.
Yeah, a lot of guys that, you know, are into the car show side of it more enjoy getting that photo in a unique setting like that. We'd actually been approached at one time about doing just a car show in the amusement park instead of, you know, at the drag strip. But I can't remember which promoter it was, but we ended up not working a deal out with them. But I think it does add a unique flair to the fest events to be able to display cars in the amusement park.
Yeah, I think,
especially
was
LS
it the
Fest,
Hot
you
Rod
like need
Reunion?
all the. What did you say, Jordan?
I think the Hot Rod Reunion, they do some of the park.
The reunion doesn't, but now a lot of the show cars are kind of up on the hill towards the park, but not inside the park.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know LS Fest especially. I mean, you need all the room you can get. I feel like their cars have to be over in the amusement park just to fit them in the area.
Yeah, it's the car show side of it grows and grows every year. Sometimes I wish they would, and there's a lot of great cars that come to it, but I think some people have caught on to the fact that they can kind of buy a good parking pass by jumping in the car show. So you see some vehicles that probably shouldn't be up there, but hey, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Everybody
Jordan,
wants to
you've
be a
got a
part
long
of it.
history. Yeah, Jordan, you've got a long history yourself of going to LS Fest. I mean, you've been going over a decade, haven't you?
Yeah, I think this year makes at least a decade I drove there.
Yeah, I think this year is what will be the 16th or 17th year. I think 17 maybe.
I don't even know when it started.
Right.
When was it? Like 07?
I can't remember the first year.
Something, yeah. I've got a few. I want to talk about one more segment before we get into our rapid fire questions here at the end. I want to talk about, you see a lot of these drag strips closing, and a lot of the times it's because of urban expansion. You know, them moving it towards the drag strips. You know, the drag strip's been there however long, and all this housing is moving closer and closer to the track. I feel like Beach Bend doesn't necessarily have that much to worry about, but how do you feel about that happening to these other drag strips?
It could definitely happen, and I see how it happens to two other tracks. I mean, um, unfortunately, not everybody loves a drag strip in their hometown. I mean, there's a lot of people right here in Bowling Green that probably wish Beach Bend wasn't here. And now it's just that's the reality of it. And when you get enough neighbors that don't want you here, they're voting in this area for politicians in this area, and most of our customer base doesn't vote in this area, at whatever local track they're at. And so it's they succumb to that pressure, and they don't have an option. Luckily, PRI and SEMA is fighting really hard for racetracks and fighting really hard to get some some legal stuff in place to protect facilities. In fact, I've been on a few phone calls about the future of legislation in Kentucky to protect some racetracks. It didn't get through the General Assembly this go around, but hopefully next year, something will change and we can get that push, at least to the next step. Maybe not get it pushed through, but to have a little more protection against stuff like that. The other thing, unfortunately, that you're seeing for a lot of urban area facilities is the land becomes more valuable as something else rather than a racetrack. You take a small mom and pop racetrack, and all of a sudden, the urban sprawl starts taking them over, and they can sell in 1 month make what it would have took them 10 years of work in that facility to make, or even longer. um, and it's just they can't say no to it. At the end of the day, it's a business. um, but you see that happen as well.
It's really sad to hear about that. I mean, even you hear about, I think what I most recently heard about was like the whole deal that Garrett Mitchell, Cletus McFarland was having with the Freedom Factory. All those people petitioning to get it stopped. I mean, he also had to do the same thing, go to his local legislation and basically convince them that there's going to be I guess like a racers neighborhood right outside the drag strip and Freedom Factory, because like you said, people can hear those, especially those nitro cars, from miles away. I mean, my boss lives like 5 minutes from Beach Bend, closer by the crow flies, but he says that he can hear those nitro cars out of his back door. I mean, no problem at all.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of that, as a track, we have to be good neighbors. That we try not to run late at night. I mean, there are instances where we have to, uh, but I do think that goes a long way too. He probably lives, within earshot of us, but hopefully it never, irritates him. If we don't run, past midnight very often.
Yeah.
And so we try to be good neighbors and in that way. But like I said, there's a lot of people that probably don't want Beach Bend here, that don't like the cars, that are residents here in Bowling Green. And I always think back, we've got 60,000 followers on Facebook, and only 5% of them are in Bowling Green.
Wow, that's crazy.
So there's probably a lot out there that may be a fan but don't follow us. But if you think about that kind of percentage that is based right here in Bowling Green, is small compared to the overall.
That's actually really
That's kind of
surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Jordan and I was talking to a guy that we met at PRI. He runs a website called Get in the Stands, and he actually had a very similar statistic. I think his statistic was for just like an average drag strip, and yeah, I mean that goes to show. You said the statistic that he brought up. It's kind of ridiculous that there's that few local followers on the page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's between 5 and 6% of 60,000 that are in Bowling Green.
Wow. Well, I've got some rapid fire questions for you to close out the episode here, so spend as long as you want to on them. First question I wanted to ask you: nitrous turbo or blower?
Ooh, blower.
Yes, sir.
Love that. Yeah. What's your favorite class to watch race at Beech Bend?
At Beech Bend, probably the favorite class would be like NHRA stock and super stock. Those are just some really cool cars. They're not the fastest cars you see at the track, but if you really get down into the weeds with those cars, it's amazing how fast some of them are with the technology given. And most of them are just awesome cars. Just they look great. They're cool. They're old school, and there's some new ones in there too. But stock and super stock is probably one of my favorite classes to watch.
All right. What is your personal favorite event that happens at the drag strip?
Favorite event? I don't know. I'm torn. I don't know that I can say I have a favorite. I like, a lot of them. One thing that I always say, whatever brings people into the gate is my favorite event. But now I've always had a soft spot for like our NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series. That event, there's usually 50 to 75 cars on the property that weekend that run 200 mile an hour to 230, even alcohol dragsters that run 275, 280 now. So it's the fastest event and the most cars capable of going fast that we have all year long at the Lucas Oil Series race. But then, there's so many cool events, but just racing wise, that's probably my favorite event.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question for you: left or right lane?
I don't have a preference. I don't suppose. Even when I was racing, I guess right lane because you're a little bit closer to the tree as far as you can see the tree a little bit better.
Fair enough. Well, Broc, where can what are some of the best ways people can follow the drag strip and again, Hot Rod Hangout's going to be or Horsepower Hangout's going to be tonight. But where can people follow the drag strip and find out about some local events happening this year?
Definitely Facebook. That is our strongest social media outlet, Facebook. We do have Instagram, but don't have near the following on it. But if you stay tuned to Facebook, you won't miss anything.
All right, guys, you heard it here. Again, go check out Hot Rod Hangout tonight. It's going to be awesome. Jordan and I are going to be there. We're probably going to be making some content and all that good stuff. And Broc, can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Definitely one of our bucket list guests, and love to have some local business owners on the show.
Well, thank you all again. I've enjoyed the time. Sorry we had some technical difficulties, but look forward to seeing y'all tonight and hanging out for a little bit.
Awesome. Well, guys,
Absolutely.
with that being said, we will catch you in the next one. See you at Hot Rod Hangout tonight. Brother, what are you still doing here? Check out some of these social medias below me. If you're not following, go change that today.